Welcome to Unbreakable Latina.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Unbreakable Latina. This is your host Melina. On today's podcast, I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health. I would say, the past 2 weeks have been rough for me. I've had a very hard time at work. I'm learning something new and I hold myself to a high standard. So if I don't know how to do something, it really stresses me out. And I'm a perfectionist, so I'm hard on myself. And just other things in general in life have been going on. And I felt like I got stuck in this rut. And I stopped going to the gym. I was eating terribly and just feeling bad, and to the point where I was just so sleepy, like I couldn't get up. And I started noticing that I have felt like this before. And I came to the conclusion that I think I was going through like a little slight depression, and I haven't felt like that in a long time. So I got a little worried, and I took a step back. Last weekend, I stayed home. I didn't do much. I edited the podcast. I just like basically was on my laptop all day. I did go to the coffee shop and try to get out, and I just wasn't feeling like myself. And I came to the conclusion that I had a little depressive episode, and it happens. It happens to all of us, and it's normal. And I talk amongst my friends, and they also go through little ruts like that. But I do notice that it happens to me when I start like letting work get to me or other problems, and I forget about taking care of myself and putting myself first. And for me, taking care of myself means like going to the gym. Although sometimes I'm super tired after work, even if I commit to just walking on the treadmill, like on incline for 30 minutes, it makes me feel so much better. So after last weekend and having such a rough weekend, I decided that this week was going to be different. And I know it was going to be another rough week for me. I had an interview. I was just like really stressed out. And I was like, okay, at least make it to the gym like 3 times. And I did. I went to the gym. I planned on lifting weights at some point. I did actually. I did lift weights because there was someone on the treadmill next to me, and I'm sorry, but he smelled so bad that I could smell it through my mask. So I ended up lifting weights, and I felt so good, and I got like this burst of energy, and the next day I was able to get up early. And I ate pretty healthy this week. Like I took home cooked meals. I think I only ate out once this week. So what I'm trying to say is that we all go through depression states, and it's okay to have those days, but pick yourself back up. See what makes you happy. Like I know for me, like working out makes me clear my head. Eating good makes me feel good. Because if I am not working out and I'm eating terribly, I just feel horrible. I feel horrible. Like I just want to lay on the couch and I just want to do absolutely nothing. And if you are feeling in a rut, do something that makes you feel happy. Like whatever self-care is to you, do it. Like if you need to go get a facial, get your nails done. If you just need a day to do nothing, if you need a day to read, do it. Don't let life get to you like I let life get to me, and I felt so crappy, and no one should feel that way. So yesterday I had plans with a friend, and I was gonna go straight after work, but I told her like, hey, you know what? I think I'm gonna go home and change because I just don't want to go in my work clothes. And I also felt like I felt ugly and I just felt gross. So I came home, I put on a cute outfit, I got ready, and I felt like myself again. And I was like, okay, like girl, you got it back. And I met up with her. We had a few conversations, and I let her know that what happened in the last 2 weeks. And she was like, you know what? I go through those episodes too. Like, but you just have to pick yourself back up and like keep on trucking, right? And even with the podcast, I felt really uninspired all week. I kept thinking like, what am I going to record about? And I have like subjects written down that I want to talk about, but I just felt so uninspired to record any of them or to speak on any of them. And I was texting my sister and I was like, I don't even know what to record this week. Like, I feel so uninspired. And she was like, well, why don't you record a podcast about feeling uninspired? And it got me thinking. I was like, what? You're right. Like, I should do that. But then I thought, oh, well, mental health is tied into why I'm feeling uninspired. And I just want to say I'm not an expert on mental health, but I'm sharing what I know about it and a little bit of research that I've done. But I know for a fact, growing up in the Latino, Hispanic community, it's not really talked about, right? I've heard the phrase, en mis tiempos no existía la depresión. In my times, the depression didn't exist. And that is not true. Depression has always existed. It just hasn't been talked about till recently, now that we're more aware of what's going on and why we feel a certain way. And it bothers me that people still have that idea, but we need to educate ourselves and educate our families, our parents, our grandparents. Depression is not something you choose. It's not something you want. It just happens. It's a mental illness. I also have heard like, oh my God, what would people say about me if I go to therapy? And to that I say, who cares? You're breaking our intergenerational traumas and you want something better for yourself and for your future, maybe your children. There's been a lot of phrases that I've heard over the years like, que bipolar eres, you're so bipolar, and oh, ¿pa qué estás triste? Ponte a limpiar. Why are you sad? Just clean. And that's something that you hear in our community so much that it becomes the norm. But I think it's because, being first generation, our parents came here from another country. They didn't have insurance and health insurance, and they were taught just that life is hard and you're just going to work hard to get through it. And although people say that social media is bad, I have a love-hate relationship for it because I've learned a lot of things through social media. And you read about like mental health, just different things, and you realize that you're not alone. Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick break to thank you all for your support. When I first started the podcast, I felt lost. I didn't even know where to begin, but thankfully I stumbled upon Anchor. Anchor is a platform that I use to make my podcasts. I can record, edit, and distribute my podcasts on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. So it's a one-stop shop. And the best part is that it's free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to start your podcast today. I want to share my personal experience with depression. I was diagnosed with depression back in, I want to say maybe 2017, 18. One of those years, 2017 or 18. And I've always been the type of person who talks about my problems with my friends. I'm very vocal. And that didn't happen till a couple years ago. I always kept everything inside, but there came a point in my life where life was just too much. And I couldn't get a grip. Like I couldn't catch a break. Every day it was something new. And I just remember feeling like just upset, and I started noticing like my eating habits. I wasn't eating very much. I would be like, I'm not hungry. Food would gross me out. And I was very snappy with everybody, with my own family, with my mom. And for me, like being snappy with my mom, like I have a good relationship with my mom, but I would just like blow up on her over the slightest things and I would feel so terrible after. And I even got to the point where I was like, is life worth living anymore? And when I started having those thoughts, like I was like, oh my God, like no, like you can't think about that. Like life is like, yeah, life has been tough for you, but it's not to the point where you don't want to exist anymore. But I kept having these thoughts and fighting those thoughts, and I remember having like an anxiety attack, and I didn't know what it was. I just felt like I couldn't breathe, like I couldn't, like if something had happened, and I just started crying, and then I just had this panic attack. I felt like I was gonna die, and just everything kept blowing up in my face. And I remember, like, I think I got in an argument with my sister or my mom, or I don't remember, but I remember the moment I knew something was wrong with me was one day I was so angry, I was so mad that I I threw my phone across the room, an iPhone, okay? I threw it, I hit the wall, and I completely shattered my whole phone because I was so angry. And I could not believe I did that. I was just like, whoa, like, what did I just do? And it was over something dumb. Like, I can't even recall. Like, it was all a blur, but I do remember feeling like so dumb. And my mom was like, "What's wrong? What's going on?" And I finally had to open up and be like, I just don't want to live anymore." And I remember seeing her face and how upset she was, and she's like, "No, you have to go talk to somebody. Like, it's not okay. Like, your life is hard, but to the point where you don't want to live, like something's wrong." So I finally got the courage, and I made an appointment with my doctor, and I let him know what was going on. And I felt like crazy. And like I felt like I was losing it. And right away they wanted to give me medication. Like they're like, "Oh, you have to take these pills." And I just couldn't see myself being dependent on medication because I always knew that that could be temporary. Like I just wanted to fix it. Like, heal myself the natural way. So they gave me a prescription, and I never went to go pick it up. But they did refer me to a psychologist, to a therapist, and I didn't like my first therapist. I went in there and I just felt judged, and I felt like she wasn't listening to me. So I looked for another one, and I went in there. I It's different when you talk to a therapist because they don't know you. They don't know anything about you. It's not your family. They can't tell you like, "Oh, like suck it up." They help you understand the reasons you feel a certain way. And I remember talking to this therapist and just telling him everything I was going through. And he was like, "I realize that you're taking on problems that are not something you can control." And he was like, "I don't think that you need medication. I don't want you to take medication. I want you to buy this book." And I can't remember what book it was, but it was a book about like I didn't even remember what it was like because I gave it to a friend when she was going through a rough time. But it was a book that explained why you felt certain ways about certain things. It was a weird book. Anyways, I'm sure I could find it. Maybe I'll look on Amazon. I don't remember if he bought it for me or like I bought it, but it worked. And I went to therapy maybe for a few months, and I was able to acknowledge, and he did teach me about just how to let go of things I can't control. Like I can't control what other people do, and I have to let it go. Whatever I can't control, I have to let go of because it was hurting me. And I've seen it happen with other family members that go through depression, and you don't know people are going through things because it's not like I'm going to be like, "Hi guys, I'm depressed." Like no one knew that, but I started noticing like, my eating habits. I didn't want to hang out with anybody. I just wanted to be home. Like I was always angry. I would snap over the slightest things, and it was unfair for my loved ones. It really was. And little by little, after going to therapy for a few months, I was able to feel better. I also want to make a comment that I was on birth control at the time, and I didn't know that birth control had side effects of depression and anxiety. So I mentioned to my doctor, like, when you go to the doctor, they just give you like, oh, here's some birth control. Have you guys ever read, or I mean, men don't probably know. I don't think any man is like, let me read your birth control warning signs. And us as women, we just go and like, we like, okay, take it one pill every day at the same time. But you don't know what side effects it has. I know some, like I always knew some, like you gain weight, or like you get skinny, whatever. But I never knew it could affect your mental health. So I think that a mixture of life and birth control was like making me feel so horrible. And when I got off birth control and I went to therapy, I felt so much better. Little by little, I started feeling like myself again. I didn't have those crazy thoughts. And now, if anybody ever shares with me that they're going through a struggle, like I'm able to, at this point, cope better with depression. And I don't have severe depression like I used to, but now I notice signs, like if I start feeling a certain way, I'm like, okay, like what are you gonna do to make yourself feel better? Like what are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way? And therapy has helped me so much. And I don't feel like I need to go now, but if I ever did, I would go back. And I love the therapist that I had, and you have to find the correct therapist. I I just needed to learn how to let go of certain things, and sometimes your family is not going to be the one that helps you achieve that. It's going to be someone that can identify issues and identify why you're feeling a certain way. I did a little bit of research and I found 10 common depression symptoms. And the first one is feeling of helplessness and hopelessness, loss of interest in daily activities, appetite or weight changes, sleep changes. So, if you're feeling any of those symptoms, just know that you're not alone and that there is help out there. There's a lot of resources that can help you with that. Or if you know that if you know of someone you love or someone you know that is going through depression, you can help them by being there for them and not taking it personal when they don't want to see you, and just knowing that depression is a mental illness and recognizing what it can cause. And I know that sometimes it's hard to be there for someone with depression, but let them know that they're not alone and just be there to listen to them. And be mindful, like when you go out, and this is advice for myself too. Like, let's say you're at the store and the cashier person just is irritated and having a bad day. Like the other day, like I said, I had a terrible week. On Friday, I came home and my mom wanted to go to dinner, and I really did not feel like going anywhere, but I know that she was looking forward to going out to dinner because I had told her, oh, we should go grab something. So we went out for pizza, and we go to this restaurant that we always go to, and it's like super busy and there's only one server, and they told us like, oh, it's going to be a wait to sit down. And we're like, it's fine. Like, I knew that it was going to be busy. It's a Friday night before Halloween, and the lady, the server, she was just like really like irritated, and she was like, oh, it's gonna be a wait. And I'm like, it's fine, we understand. And she sat us down, and she was just irritated, and my mom's like, ay, esa vieja que trae, blah blah blah. And I'm like, mom, just like I had a bad week, she's probably having a bad day, they're short staff. Like, just be understanding, right now with the pandemic, there's a lot going on, and people are just burnt out. We're all burnt out, and we're all feeling some type of way. And I know this because of people that have shared it with me. And just like that lady was so irritated, and she was like, it's going to be a while for your pizza. And I said, it's okay. I understand. And then she looked at me and she's like, you're the first person that has said that to me. Thank you so much. And I was just like, wow, like I feel your pain, girl. I'm short staffed at work too. Like, we're all going through it. And like I said, remember that you're not alone. And I wanted to share this experience to just let everybody know that no matter what you see, people are going through things and not everybody shares it, and just be patient and be a good person. And you know, sometimes I have to check myself and be like, don't get irritated and don't do this. And everybody's going through the struggle. You don't know what people are going through. Do not take it personal. I mean, there's limits, right? But when you're out shopping, wherever, at work, like, just know that that person's being a certain way because they're going through a struggle. And sometimes people are just assholes, but sometimes people are going through some rough stuff, and we just gotta be understanding. All right, guys, I leave you with that. And I'm so thankful for all of you guys. Please let me know if there's anything you want to talk about, or if you want to come on the podcast, you're more than welcome to. We'll set something up. I'm getting better at recording with two people. My last episode was a little better. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so that way you guys know when there's a new podcast. Usually, like I said, I try to upload Monday mornings. And please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, anywhere. I really appreciate it. I am so excited for more episodes. And follow me at Unbreakable Latina. Have a great week. And remember to be kind. Bye, guys.